a rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this beautiful land, but that beauty a rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this beautiful land, but
Hello, my name is Rachel Nagant. I'm here in West Hollywood to talk with Annie Jump, who was recently the victim of police brutality and misgendering by the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. Annie, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me.
So on December 7th, the sheriffs came to your apartment in order to investigate a domestic violence case. However, the victim of domestic violence had fled the state earlier that day, and the person who made the call was using your name to make a false report. This is a very strange set of circumstances, so I was hoping to ask you about the context that led up to your altercation with the sheriff's department. In the video taken by your roommate, in which the sheriffs can be seen holding you to the ground, you said something along the lines of,
There's 7 other instances, including this one, where you're coming here to do nothing about domestic violence, because you never do, and yet you're arresting me? Fucking do something about goddamn domestic violence!
can you explain the history there?
Yeah. Can I take it? Yeah, I would be very happy to explain. So, what ended up happening that day, well, there was a time before where the sheriffs had come, just the weekend, I believe it was the weekend prior, which would be about December 5th. They came through the front and back door, and I was actually reluctantly opening their door for them to the unit during this call. And they went up to the unit being under investigation, checked on both parties, the alleged abuser and the alleged survivor. They concluded there was no need to take a statement. I watched this all unfold in the lobby. They interviewed both parties 10 feet away from each other in the lobby and didn't take a statement. When the alleged abuser said, aren't you going to do something about this? They just walked away. And so I ran out. I chased down the sheriffs. I said, please do something about this. And I said, you've been here so many times. And one of the women sheriffs confirmed me. This is the 7th time we're here. I said, you've been here 7 times. You're not doing that. He said, well, you're going to have to call 911. And I just went, hello, 911, where are you? Please, she's already being abused. You just left. So, after that incident, the survivor and I had discussed, and, she left the state. And she had told me Wednesday morning. By Wednesday afternoon, I was coming home from grocery shopping at like 3 p.m., where the sheriffs were there just sitting outside. And really, I stopped and stared because, well, they're polluting. Their cars are just wasting gas. So I decided to stop and wait and stare. And then they came up to my building. And I said, sheriffs, what are you there for? And they said, domestic violence investigation. I said, okay, well, I hate to inform you, officers, but you can't come into the building. Yeah, I don't see a warrant. And they started misgendering me before I even approached the door. And he said, excuse me, I'm a woman, thank you. And they were persistent and misgendering me while I was trying to get in my own door. And before I entered the door code, that's okay. Before I even entered the door code, they had already misgendered me twice, and I was becoming agitated by it. So I said, you can call the number on the box or come back for the landlord, or you can come back with a search warrant, but I can't let you in. I proceeded to enter my building. And as I stepped inside, one of the sheriffs grabbed the door handle, or grabbed the door to pry it open as I'm trying to close it. Again, I'm inside my unit. I'm inside my building. And now they're forcing entry. One of the sheriffs grabs my arm and just starts putting it behind my back. No words. Just says, the only words I heard were, "You know what?" And then just grabbed my arm and started putting it behind my back. And then he said to the other officer, "I need help." And then they started just grappling my arms and trying to throw it behind my back. And at another point, they said, "Screw this," and just put my head into the wall and put me on the ground. And at that point, I started screaming for my roommate, and she came out and recorded. So that's what led up to the event. I was never told I was being arrested or detained even.
Thank you. Something I wanted to clarify. How did you know that somebody had used your name in order to make the false report?
After the sheriffs had put me in one of the squad cars, I was sitting there crying, saying, "Please check on the woman. You still haven't done that yet." I had not seen them walk in and even check up on anybody. And Sheriff Aragon came up to approach me while I was sitting in the car, and I asked, who even called? And he said, well, the name who called was Annie. And I laughed because at that moment they didn't even know what my name was. And I said, that's funny because that's my name, and I sure wouldn't have called you. And here we are. I'm being arrested. I'm in the back of your squad car. That's how I found out. I was in the back of the squad car. He went and he asked me what my number was. I gave him the last four of my number, and he said that he went back to his squad car, checked the report, and he said the number doesn't match what's on the report. And I said, I know, I didn't call you. So he confirmed with me that Annie called and that it was a number that was not mine.
Thank you for explaining that. I'm still a little bit confused. It's strange that someone would use your name to make a false report. Do you have any idea who might have done that or why?
My inkling is that there is someone in my building who I know is a dog flipper. They go around our neighborhood, steal dogs, and sell them internationally. Just a month prior, there was an incident in my building where a veterinarian, a dog owner, and a neighbor had bursted into our apartment building looking for a dog. Well, after some arguing back and forth in the hallway, the vet managed to storm her way in to the unit, unlocked whatever cage the dog was in, and the dog came running out to the owner, crying. We so many tenants watched this unfold. She once worked for my building, for my landlord. Coincidentally enough, she's the one who was my leasing agent. But there's been incidences of hate crimes from her, where once she worked for the leasing agent, she was yelling homophobic and transphobic remarks, saying I'm not a woman, I'm a man, that I'm homeless, just because I was once homeless, and that she will have me evicted. And this is what she was saying while she worked for the landlord. So after I had gotten this evidence just from last month about this woman dog flipping, I informed the landlord. I called the sheriff's department. They won't investigate. I tried to give them evidence. They won't even accept it. And I also received emails from this woman saying that she knows that I told the landlord. Quite frankly, I don't care that she knows, but the fact is that she knows, and she has a criminal history that I'm aware of.
So, to be clear, 2 days before the altercation with the sheriffs, this dog flipper, this dog napper, if you will, said that she was aware that you had supplied evidence of her crimes to the landlord, and you suspect that she made this false report as retribution.
Correct.
Sorry for that interruption. We had to move a bit. So to be clear, when the sheriffs had arrived to your apartment, you already knew that the person they were there to investigate, or the survivor of the person they were there to investigate, had already left the state.
Correct.
Is that why you didn't let the officers into the building?
That was one of the major reasons, yes. The other reason being they didn't have a search warrant, and the last few times they were there for domestic violence, they never did a thing about it. I have given a significant amount of public comments to West Hollywood City Council stating that they need to end the funding of, or the contract between West Hollywood and LASD, because police and sheriffs are violent towards everyone, especially trans people. I have warned City Council for months that something like this is going to happen, and it did. I may be known within the sheriff's department prior to even that happening because of how vocal I am about my disdain for their practices and what they do, and we as the taxpayers pay for this nonsense.
So do you think that the way that you were treated by these deputies, could it have been retribution for your political activism? Could it have been discrimination against you for your gender identity? Do you think that affected how they treated you?
Absolutely. I mean, even after telling them I'm a woman and all this stuff, even after being in the back of the squad car, even after they booked me and everything, the citation that they gave me even states that I'm 6 foot, 200 pounds. A 6 foot, 200 pound female. I am 5'9", pushing 160. They thought I was another weight class and thought that I needed to be brought down because I was wearing heels, so I seemed taller. And they just assumed that I'm a man, so I must weigh a lot.
Were your injuries treated for being slammed into the wall? Were your injuries treated after you were arrested?
The sheriffs took me to the hospital. However, while I'm detained and I have clear, visible injuries on my wrist, they were welted red from how tight the handcuffs were. I complained to the nurse that I had a headache and that my neck and spine were in pain. She only checked my reflexes. She touched the muscles around my neck and told me to look up into the light. And that was the extent of the checkup I got. But it didn't inspect any of the bruises, didn't inspect the welts, didn't inspect my head, no CAT scans or MRIs, nothing. So I left the hospital in significant pain.
And how are your injuries now? Are you still in any pain?
Well, as of this recording, it's been a week, actually, exactly. The welts have gone down. Both thumbs felt like they had been broken. That feeling has since subsided. However, I suspect that my bones are bruised. I still have bruises all over my body, and I still have a persistent headache, no matter how much I nap or no matter how much water I drank.
My condolences. So do you have any intentions of suing the sheriff's department for damages or for the way that they mishandled you or discriminated against you?
My rights were violated. My civil rights were violated. Very specifically, admitted on camera from the deputies. They constantly violated my rights. Yes, I expect to sue them for all the wrongdoings that they do. I want them out of West Hollywood. I'm tired of seeing them around. This is what we get when we have contractual state violence.
And one last thing, is there anything I haven't asked you about that you want to add on to, or anything that you want to say?
This is going to continue to happen. Trans people are going to be targeted. The sheriffs won't be held accountable because our legislators don't care about us. I studied elections, corruption, and campaign finance for years, and I can tell you very specifically that legislators get paid by those who have significant amount of money, and they fund their elections, and they make laws to support those that own everything. And they sick their dogs on us, those brutes. We need to stand up and speak out about it, not take their shit. And when we see injustices, we band together and we fight together like hell. I am so sick and tired of seeing stories of people brutalized. I'm tired of seeing black men and black women murdered. I'm tired of seeing trans men and trans women murdered and brutalized. This needs to stop now. Please work with us and please join us.
All right. Thank you so much, Annie. Thank you for taking time out of your day to be here and to talk to me. Thank you for having the bravery to speak out, because not a lot of people would. I hope your injuries heal soon, and I hope your fight with the sheriff's department in the city goes well. And thank you. Thank you for meeting me. All power to the people.
I'll